Update. I told my 35-year-old brother to stop expecting me to support him. He freaked out. Original post. So here's the situation. I, 28 female, have a brother Joe, 35 male, who's been living off of part-time gigs, handouts from family, and whatever he can scrape together for as long as I can remember. A few months ago, he asked me for a pretty large sum of money to help him out because he was in between jobs, even though this isn't the first time. He said he was going to use it to pay rent for the month, but I found out he had actually spent it on a concert ticket for himself and his friends. I got really frustrated because, at his age, I feel like he should be more responsible, especially considering that he has been given multiple chances to stabilize his life. I told him it wasn't fair to keep asking family for money when he's not even trying to find a steady job. I even suggested he start looking into getting some proper work, even if it's not ideal, and stop relying on getting by with gigs and temporary stuff. He got really upset and accused me of not understanding his creative lifestyle and said I'm too caught up in conventionality. He also said I was selfish for not supporting him in his struggle because, apparently, everyone else in the family has been helping him. Now he's not speaking to me and I feel guilty, but at the same time, I'm kind of at my limit with him not making any real effort. So, am I the a-hole for telling Joe to stop expecting me to support him? Now for the top comments before reading the update. You're the a-hole for enabling his lazy butt, not writing him off sooner, and lacking the self-esteem to clearly recognize you're being abused. Ignore him. He deserves no contact for at least a decade. Context: someone who is actually part of a very large but healthy family. He is my brother after all. I hope you also understand that. You are doing this to yourself. Don't complain if you continue to give him money. As for your family, if you stop enabling him, tell them you are done, and they can continue to enable him themselves of just stop talking to you about it. I'm not going to do that anymore. I learned the lesson. Not the a-hole. You understand his creative lifestyle better than he does, and you're not willing to fund it. He can live his creative lifestyle all he wants, on his own dime. You know he's not going to stop this unless forced to stop it. Friends and family giving him money is not helping him. It's hindering him. He can never grow all the way up and learn to fly on his own, with such a huge safety net beneath him. Cut him off cold. Yes, I am starting to think the same way. As others have said, not the a-hole, as long as you stop enabling him. Look, I'm a mess. I need a lot of help in my life. I'm no freeloader though. The only person anyone should be going to for stuff like this is their parents, sometimes. I could totally paint myself as a tortured artist who doesn't want to abide by conventionality, but I also don't want to be freaking homeless. That means taking care of myself. I'd love to have people give me money so I could write all day and actually use the money to live on instead of buying concert tickets. But yeah, the world doesn't work that way. Your brother is also way too old to have not figured this out. If he were 21, 22, heck even 25, it'd kinda be a different story. But 35? Get lost, man. Your brother's a freeloader. While I wouldn't necessarily tell him all this, I'd just stand firm and tell him you can't support him anymore, financially or otherwise. He's an adult, and he can take care of himself. You could even say that instead of mooching off others, he could try coming up with creative solutions to fulfill his dream of living unconventionally. There's nothing creative or unconventional about freeloading. Sloth is as old as time. That's a really nice point. I would think the same way if he was not my brother, but I am done with this situation. Now for the update. Okay, I need to share something wild. After I posted yesterday, I wasn't expecting the response I got. But here's the plot twist. My brother Joe showed up at my place this morning. He wasn't just upset. He was furious. And honestly, the conversation was even worse than I expected. He told me, straight to my face, that I was ruining his life, and that I was no better than the rest of the family who enables him. He went on and on about how I've never understood his struggle as a creative person, and how it's unfair that I don't support him in the way he needs. He also accused me of being a robot in a capitalist world, and said I was too obsessed with normal life to appreciate what it's like to live with passion. Here's the kicker. He actually had the nerve to say that I was selfish for expecting him to be responsible, because apparently that's not how artists work. He then dropped the bomb that he's been living like this for years because he's not meant to conform to the system, and that I should learn to let go of the idea that everyone should be stable. This was a whole new level of denial. He genuinely thinks the family is supposed to fund his lifestyle because it's part of his artistic journey. I'm honestly in shock. I get that he wants to live differently, but at what point is he just refusing to grow up? How is it my problem that he refuses to even try to get a stable job, especially after wasting so many chances? I mean, he literally asked me for money and then blew it on a concert. How is that not manipulation? I finally told him he needs to figure out his own life because I'm done being his safety net. It's one thing to help out occasionally, but this has become a pattern, and I'm not his personal ATM. The worst part? He tried to guilt-trip me into feeling bad for not helping, as if I owe him because the family always does. I don't know if he's ever going to see my point of view. Honestly, I think he's too far gone. But one thing's for sure, I won't be manipulated into continuing to support this cycle. He needs to wake up and face reality. I do feel bad that our relationship is strained, but I'm not going to apologize for demanding accountability. So, to wrap this up, I'm still standing by what I said. I have every right to expect him to get his act together. He needs to take responsibility for his own life, and the rest of the family can't keep enabling him. If he's mad at me for setting boundaries, so be it. I refuse to be part of the problem anymore. Not the a-hole. You're not ruining his life. He's doing that all on his own. There's a difference between supporting someone and being used. He's not asking for help. He's demanding to be carried. Good for you for setting boundaries. If he truly believes in his artistic journey, he needs to find a way to fund it himself. This is the thing. Unless your lifestyle actively hurts others, a person should be able to live however they want. If OP's brother wants to break free of the system and live unconventionally, all the power to him. But he needs to be able to support that lifestyle for himself or accept the lifestyle limitations his lack of resources will manifest. If he's incapable of either, then he can get a freaking job. That's a sociopath. Your brother doesn't care about you, he cares only about himself. He can find help elsewhere. You did everything you could to help. Let go of this clown. Hard to hear, but he'll probably be like this forever. Cut the cord before he becomes a bigger liability. This is very accurate. People think sociopaths are dangerous or criminals, but many are just consummate manipulators who know how to use everyone in their orbit to their advantage. Not the a-hole. 1. He wants to live an alternative lifestyle? Fine. He can go live in an artist commune and stop mooching off his family. 2. The money OP earns is part of the capitalist world, so as an artist, he shouldn't want that tainted money anyhow. 3. He's more than welcome to let the rest of the family keep enabling him, but OP has no requirement to do so. Next story. Am I the a-hole for leaving dinner early after my brother's wife kept making passive-aggressive comments about my job? This happened last weekend at a family dinner. My brother and his wife invited everyone over, and I was actually looking forward to it. Everything was fine at first, but then my sister-in-law started in with her usual comments about my job. For context, I work in tech. It's a solid job, pays well, and I enjoy it. But for some reason, my sister-in-law has always had this weird attitude about it. She thinks that because I'm not coming home covered in sweat or physically exhausted, it's not real work. She's made comments before, but I usually let it slide. This time, she was on a roll. She kept saying things like, "Must be nice to sit around all day and make more than people who actually work hard," and "Some of us don't get paid to play on a computer." Everyone at the table kind of laughed awkwardly, but I was getting sick of it. I finally told her I work just as hard as anyone else, and I don't see how my job affects her at all. She rolled her eyes and said I was being sensitive and that she was just joking. At that point, I was done. I finished my plate, thanked my brother for dinner, and left. Now my mom is saying I was rude for walking out and making things awkward, but honestly, I feel like I just set a boundary. Am I the a-hole for leaving? Not the a-hole. As someone who works in tech, I can say we don't just sit around and play on a computer. We deal with a-holes like your sister-in-law all the time. His sister-in-law sounds insecure about her own choices. It's not his fault she feels that way. I would have said that. No need for you to feel jealous or insecure about your job. This is a safe space. We all have regrets. You may have taken a poor path, but there's always time to change directions. The important thing is to not allow your fears cause you to act out inappropriately. Also, you could say, capitalism isn't fair. Sucks to be you. Does she even work? Not the a-hole, but it sounds like your whole family feels some kind of way about your career choice, which means you can choose to lower your contact with them when they are together as a group like that, or you can change how you respond. Personally, in your position, I'd stay really calm and casual and, while still eating, say something like, "Wow, sister-in-law, you've done a lot of thinking about my job. I'm starting to wonder if you spend enough time thinking about me and my work that you could actually draw a salary for it. I can't decide if you're just jealous or if you're insecure and jealous. What part bothers you the most, sister-in-law? My stable career field, my good salary, or the fact I'm not slowly breaking my body down just to pay my bills? Or are you jealous about the whole thing? You know, sister-in-law, it's never too late to go back to school and pick up a career. I could help you find a good program if you wanted to get into some IT work. We each play to our strengths in life. Yours is using your body for work. Turns out mine is using my brain. There's nothing wrong with that. Damn, I can sell my house. I'm living rent-free in your head." Next story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my estranged father's wife the money he sent me? My father wasn't in my 21 female life growing up. He left my mom and me when I was 2 and refused to pay child support. He quit his job when he was tracked down for support, and he spent time in jail rather than pay. Eventually, my mom stopped fighting because it was going nowhere. She felt like it was wasting resources chasing after him when it was obvious he was going to avoid it however he could. A couple of years ago, he moved about an hour away, and I saw him for the first time since a court appearance when I was 8. We didn't speak either of those times, but it surprised me that he came back. I found out he was married and had more kids from my paternal aunt. He'd reached out to her and wanted to reconnect, and she told him where to go. She was always pretty disgusted that he walked away like he did and refused to support me financially. In December, my aunt told me he went to her house and left something for me there. I asked her what it was, and she had no idea, but she said it was in an envelope. I opened it, and it was a check, and it was a big one too. I tried giving it to my mom, but she told me to keep it and said he owed me, that he abandoned me, and it was the least I deserved. I tried telling her she deserved it more, but she wouldn't even entertain the idea. So after confirming it was legit, I lodged it into my account. Then his wife came looking for the money by going to my aunt's house for me. My aunt made her leave, and I wasn't even there, but she showed up a few days later when I was there and demanded the money. She said it was money that was meant to go to her kids, that he had no right to drain their accounts for me. I told her it wasn't my problem, and my aunt threatened to call the cops. She showed up at my aunt's house again a few days later, and my aunt followed through and called the cops. But apparently, this woman left a message that I was selfish and entitled, and that I stole it from her kids. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. You stole nothing. Her kids have been supported by that deadbeat all their lives, and she didn't care whether you were dead or alive, or if you had food to eat or clothes to wear. That's all the back child support that deadbeat owes you, like your mom said. You are entitled to that money and did not steal anything from anyone. Keep calling the cops every time she shows up. She chose to marry and have kids with a deadbeat who ghosted his own child for 19 years. Karma has finally found her address, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. I have no idea, nor do you, what the dynamic is between him and his wife. I have no idea, nor do you, how much money is really going to her and the kids. Take him at his word the money was earmarked for you and mom, so it's your money, that's it. No idea if she's just trying to rip you and your mom off. Move along, nothing to see here. Unless you want to reach out to him and ask him directly, which actually would be the thing to do. Is he really trying to make amends? Is he on the outs with his current family and just trying to get back in touch and in your good graces? But that's your choice if you want to find out or just enjoy the money. Not the a-hole, not your monkey, not your circus. Your absent dad is definitely the a-hole for you, and it seems like he's being the a-hole to his current family as well. But you are no less entitled to that money than they are, and his current wife isn't entitled to harass you or his sister over an issue she has with him. Your aunt was right to involve the police, and she should do it again if it happens again. Take your mom out for a nice dinner, and then use the money in whatever way is best for you. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my ex-husband enough time to buy our marital home? So, me, 31 female, and my ex, 30 male, were married for a couple of years, and we divorced in 2021. The divorce was messy, and I shall tell you more about it later, but we got our assets divided, except for our shared home and a car. My ex, whom I shall refer to as John, wanted to buy our shared home and car for himself, and I was fine with it. I just wanted to get rid of everything that was our shared property. I moved to a rental unit and began to wait. First, he said it would be a couple of months, then half a year, then a year, and so on. He told me he was saving money, that his financial situation was hard, etc. And I just gave him time. John needed to save approximately 4,000 to 6,000 euros to get the loan. And I believed that he could save that pretty quickly. But then started the excuses. He got laid off, he was burnt out, and so on. Although, through all of this, he had money to travel abroad and buy an almost brand new motorbike. Amidst all this, he wanted me to pay for the house renovations, upgrades he got for the house, and he even tried to get me to pay for some electrical renovations. I declined any payments because I didn't benefit from the renovations. He said the house would still be sold to him at the same price, and I didn't even get any rent from him staying there. I also didn't pay the mortgage because he was living in the house rent-free. Now 4 years have passed, and still nothing. Same excuses. He lost all the money and said that was the new American president's fault and didn't have anything. He needed more time. I said I'd had enough and threatened legal action and found myself a lawyer. He tried to settle things, but gave no answer. Now John is mad that I made him ask for a bank loan or possibly take him from his home. Because the settlement didn't work, we are going to court with this. And with that, either he buys the house and the car, or he moves and we sell it all. So, am I the a-hole for only waiting 4 years and not giving him enough time to save approximately 5,000 euros? Not the a-hole. You waited way too long. This should have been settled before the divorce was finalized. You state you have not been paying the mortgage. I sure hope he has. Because if your name is on the mortgage, that affects your credit as well. He either refinances and gets your name off mortgage and deed, or the house is sold. Yeah, at max she was an a-hole towards herself. 4 years are far too long. At max, I would have waited 6 months, but it would have been better to do it ASAP with everything else. If he doesn't have the money, then that's bad luck. But no, definitely not anyone else's fault. Also, the audacity to ask for money for renovations. That would have been my breaking point latest. Not the a-hole for refusing to give him more time. If he can't save enough in 4 years, he can't afford the house and car, and they need to be sold to someone who can afford them so the proceeds can be divided between you. I really don't know why you waited 4 years though. After a year, it must have been obvious that he was just making excuses, and either couldn't or wouldn't come up with the money to buy the house. More like wouldn't, if he was spending money on foreign travel during the same period. Yeah, after like a year, I did get a realtor to put the house on sale. But he denied access to the house to get some pictures. And John said he would still buy the house, so I gave in. 2020 and all that.